Good. This is usually the part where my video breaks up in lectures, so fingers crossed it doesn't do it this time. But yeah, as the guys said, mine's very COVID-based because this one's actually a factual piece that I wrote during a Facts into Art lecture about the very last day I had before lockdown was integrated. So yeah, and just a slight disclaimer is that all the names in this have been changed. Not that anyone I know is going to be listening, but just in fairness then. Anyway, here goes. The meetup. I'm running down the busy high street, despite the fact that I never, ever run in public. Past signs and newspaper headlines, all containing mention of this new C word. A young raven-haired girl has just stepped off the bus across the road, and I'm racing to catch her, all for the sake of 30 extra seconds in her company. My pace is loud, but I still manage to catch her completely by surprise. Eva jumps out of her skin as I wrap my arms around her. She must think I'm some sort of daylight rapist because she shrieks at sudden physical contact. Smiles are exchanged. We say hello, and my unsanctioned public display of affection is soon forgiven, and we move on. The con. 10 minutes later, we're walking together around the ground floor of Princess Key. There's more bloody newspapers littered about talking about that infected couple who just came in off the ferries. It makes me want to laugh. Eva is looking a little uncomfortable. The pink hexagons she painted on her cheeks before leaving the house are attracting a few curious looks. I really should have checked that Facebook event more closely before WhatsApping her. Her hastily put together cosplay and makeup clashes somewhat around these casually dressed UFO enthusiasts. She doesn't seem to be blaming me, at least not verbally. It's not all bad though. There's the obligatory stormtrooper posse hanging around by the entrance posing for photos. Ava isn't interested in catching a selfie with the Empire, regardless of how hard I tug at her sleeve. So I approach the bucket heads alone. The commander says something that I can't quite make out through his Americanized voice filter. I look back at Ava in reassurance. She's just too busy trying to get my camera phone into focus. The stormtroopers start pointing to the floor, and I soon get the message. I get down on my knees and put my hands on my head. I smile all throughout my arrest, and Ava takes a picture. Before we leave the soldiers, I give them my thanks and tell them, my friend would ask for a selfie too, but she doesn't know what the high ground is. I can't understand their response, but the slap across my shoulder from Eva is as clear as day. Bad Wolf. Half an hour later, we're sat in White Frigate's premier nerd shop. I'm trying to get a call through to my friend Lottie while Ava peruses the store shelves. The man behind the counter recognizes the shapes on their cheeks, and the two begin a discussion about Overwatch. I grow bored of the dead tone in my ear and I hang up. I join Ava and try to worm my way into a conversation that I know nothing about. Next thing I know, we're upstairs in the dedicated gaming room, losing at a board game that I've never played to a bunch of strangers over a bottle of Japanese pop. After a couple of games, we could concede defeat and promise to make this a weekly thing. Maybe Lottie will be interested in joining next time, if I can ever get a hold of her. The escape room. I'm sorry, sir, all sessions need to be booked in advance. Well, try. Where should I go next? Chase off the way to Lottie Street. Some idiot has probably gotten themselves stabbed. Maybe somebody is getting quarantined, we laugh. I'm sure Lottie's fine though, she always is. The back streets it is then. I begin to talk pure and utter shite to Ava so as to distract us both from the high number of broken streetlights. We pass by a corner newsagent's and a large man in a hoodie steps out from the doorway the second we pass by. We continue our inane conversation for a few seconds more before I give her a nod. The two of us link hands and make a mad dash down the street back to the brightly lit main road. We barely make it halfway before we're out of breath. There's no one behind us anymore, but that still doesn't stop us running the rest of the way to Lottie's flat. Talk of plans. Time so much. I really don't know in laughter.
Andrew, just 1 second. I think we're having a bit of an issue with Teams. Cause at first I thought it was just us, but
it turns out it's not.
Yeah, I think you're back now. If you could just talk for us.
Yeah, I'll turn my camera off. Usually that helps in this situation.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm really sorry about that, but thank you. You can continue now, Bill.
Maybe there's a future in this writing business after all. The conversation briefly turns to a virus, until it ends in laughter. Lottie gets out her weed and I temporarily leave the room until it's all gone. When I come back, Ava is sat crossed-legged on the bed and begins telling everyone about her psychotic ex. She deliberately smiles as she tells her tales of statutory rape and restraining orders. Every now and then he'll send me a threatening message to one of my male friends, she laughs. We just try to ignore it. I, meanwhile, just stare at her mismatched socks dangling off the edge of the duvet cover. Lottie is so moved by all this that she instantly decides that the four of us should all move in together in the interest of safety. Her boyfriend all the while just sits there. A message suddenly comes through on my phone as the others are looking for cheap flats on Zoopla. It's from Ava's brother. He's outside in the car. Good thing at least one of us knows to check their phone. Well, it was fun while it lasted. Ava waves goodbye as Lottie's dealer knocks on the door. It's time I made tracks too. The announcement. It's 1 week later and I'm sat at the table eating my tea. Boris Johnson is on the telly in the next room, announcing something called a lockdown. I should have done more with Eva, because I have a funny feeling that I'm not going to see her again. And that's the end. Nod to say it's finished.